So good morning everybody and welcome back to another film. So as you can see, we've had a dusting of snow this morning, but not anywhere near as much as I'd hoped, sadly. If you watched my last film, I showed a composition that I said that I would come back to when the conditions were optimal, and that's why I'm here today. I dashed up here thinking that I would get that shot and it'd be great to show it just after I talked about it on a recent film. Anyway, sadly there's no fog and the snow just isn't sufficient in its own right to really make the composition work. But schoolboy error, rookie error, whatever you want to call it, I thought that I would have a look at the composition when I got there and line the camera up. And what I didn't realise last time, and I should have done now in hindsight, which is always something that you've really got to consider, is if there's anything that needs moving, when you find a shot, you really need to move it before you come back to it. And that's what happened today. When I got there this morning, I noticed that there was some tall nettle stalks from previous summer's growth. And I imagined that when the camera was set, that these stalks would stick up in front of the camera. And like I say, I should have moved those last time. But I convinced myself that it would just be the stalks that you'd see. So I went in and I just snapped them over so they wouldn't show on the shot. And lo and behold, when I stood back and got into position to where the photograph would be taken from, you could see where I'd been, and I'd completely ruined the foreground. I honestly thought that that bit wouldn't be in the shot. So you've really got to be mindful about compositions, especially when you're going to do them in snow, or if you go to sand dunes and things like that, where your presence is going to be really obvious if you've gone in there and moved anything. So it will keep for another day. As I say, the conditions weren't right anyway, so it's not really a great big loss. And to be fair, now when I come back again, whenever that might be, the composition will be ready for me to take it. So today the forecast is for it to be clear skies. At the moment we've got a little bit of cloud, which is nice soft lighting. And my intention is always to photograph the bigger scene. I've said that before, but try as I might, I can't stop looking for the smaller stuff as well, whether that be up high, mid-ground or down on the floor. And as I've walked in here, there's the slight dusting of snow has made some beautiful patterns, and I've just spent a little while in here looking for a composition, convincing myself that there must be something somewhere, and I'm sure there is, but as of yet I've not found it. But I'm just going to spend another 10 minutes looking and then move on and see if I can find something else elsewhere. What a shame I don't have the fog today. I've just come across this twisted silver birch here. It's still alive, and how it frames beautifully the oak in the background. Snow all around, just helping to pick up the details on the branches there. Absolutely stunning, but it's not going to work today, sadly. That bright sky, just too competing for attention. It desperately needs the foggy atmosphere to make it work. I love all these rushes in the foreground. Not sure if they're picking up there on the frame, but they're all covered in snow, and the little flowering tips have all got little globules of snow on top of them. Really beautiful scene, and that just frames it beautifully. I'm going to take a picture with my mobile now. It will be framed up when I come to do it, pretty much as the video camera's showing it now, but I'm going to take, like I say, a little snippet with my mobile phone. Then I've got the GPS location, because I'm not 100% sure where in the woodland I am exactly. And these things are not easy to find when you've got thousands of trees in the vicinity. So yeah, definitely one to come back to. know what you're thinking. You're thinking he's just walked past a lovely composition, but in truth I set the camera up purposely just to illustrate that. I so often get comments on the channel from viewers who say that there was a potential image over your shoulder, or you just walked through a scene that was absolutely beautiful. Well, I do see them more often than not. I miss some, of course I do, but in the case of this one, I've had the camera out, I've lined it up and I've had a look, but it's the same as in most cases on days like this. You've just got that big blanket of sky interrupting the tree canopy, and it's just too dominant. And a lovely tree such as this one here, which is a lovely twisty old birch, makes for a really beautiful composition, but all the other trees are just too close and it just gets lost in translation, so we just got to log them and move on. I'm not even sure I'll be able to find this one again, but it's really deep in the woods, but I know the general vicinity, and for sure on the right day I'll be scrambling around trying to find it. But on a day like today, as beautiful as it is to look at, it just doesn't make for an image, so I'll press on. So it's been about 3 hours since I was last on camera, and I've been searching all that time for a woodland landscape for the video, and I could have probably found a couple of close-ups by now, but I just wanted, today at least, with the snowy conditions, I wanted to find something of a bigger scene, especially since I saw other opportunities earlier on today, but the conditions just weren't right for them. So what I've done is that I've spent time on the edge of the woodland rather than in the middle of it. The reason for that is the sun's this low in the sky in winter time. In the depths of the woodland you get a lot of hot spots and contrast, and it's difficult to deal with. On the edge of woodland, the sun's only interrupted by potentially your subject matter, and that's being lit nicely. It's not got all the dapple patches on it that you get in the middle of the wood. So I found at last a composition that I'm happy with, and I've been waiting for some thin cloud to go over the sun just to soften the light a little bit. When the sun's out completely, it's just far too harsh. All the rushes that you see in the background are hard to deal with. They're quite shiny, waxy surfaces, and they catch the light really badly. So I'll move the video camera around now and I'll talk you through the composition that I've just got. So the video camera is positioned right at the side of the stills camera, and both cameras are at the back of an oak tree just being shielded from the sun. So compositionally, I've got this lovely big mature silver birch here on the left hand side of the frame, a bit of deadfall on the ground, that's really quite nice, and the snow plastered on the trunk here is just helping to fill in that shadow. Now this next tree, I've positioned the camera carefully. This is a multi-stem birch, and I wanted these limbs to create this fan effect and just fill in that space rather than overlapping, so I've been careful with the positioning of that. Now this little stump here actually plays a role. It does fill in a gap, and if you look back here, this tree here and that little stump help to fill in a little bit of space just to the right hand side of that multi-stem birch, and the space between that and this one here, which is a lovely nice character again. So lots of interest going on throughout the frame. And then right at the bottom, my anchor points, there's two straight birches right at the bottom there that are quite critical for the end of the frame on the right hand side. I suppose if there's one thing that I'm not overly sure about or happy with, is that on the right hand side at the base you've got quite a lot of empty space with not a lot going on other than the rushes, and they are quite waxy by default and they do catch the light, so I've got to be careful to manage those. Now in terms of lighting, I don't believe it's always essential to have the sky correctly exposed. In this instance I feel that to slightly overexpose and allow that to burn out, it shows where the light's flooding in throughout the scene, and it does, in my opinion, add to the overall feel of the shot rather than devalue it. In terms of lens, I've got my 160mm lens on at about 120, so it's around about the 100mm end of a full frame camera. I'm on f16 and I'm about an eighth of a second exposure. So all in all, quite a pleasing scene. I'm happy that I found it, and I'll put that on now. Well, somebody did it again, didn't they? Forgot to press the record button on the microphone. So recently I got a new microphone, the DJI wireless microphones, and with that system you get two microphones to speak into and one receiver. Now, over the course of a full day, the two microphones to speak into have got sufficient battery power to last the whole day. But in my infinite wisdom, because I only have the one receiver, I've been turning it on and off between the speaking parts of the video. And on this particular occasion, I completely forgot to switch it back on, so I have absolutely no audio. So basically what happened is that I was walking along the river and I was thinking about some of my favourite artists, and one of those people is Jackson Pollock. And when I'm out and about and I start thinking about some of the people that inspire me, it does enable me to start looking at things that I can relate to them with. And I spotted some movement in the water and it caught my eye, and I thought I'd just spend a little bit of time to see if I could get something a little bit unusual. The light was catching the water at that particular time, and it was a golden light, but that didn't really translate on the camera when I took the shots. So I took probably 20, 30, maybe even 40 shots, and I decided that what I would do is that I would try and capture a particular movement that didn't look overly obvious to be water and could be construed as something else. And I love those type of images because they make people think they're not overly obvious when you first see them. So in terms of camera lens, I've got my 160mm lens on at full extension there, which is about 130, something like that, on a full frame camera. My shutter speed was about a sixth of a second at ISO 100, and I'm shooting at f8, which is a nice sharp part for my lens. It's not the most optimal, that's normally around about the f11 mark, but to get the speeds that I wanted, that's the shutter speed that's the settings that I went for. So I will put the image, the best one that I got, on now, and leave some comments below. Let me know what you think of this image. So the light's now gone, sunset, and I need to get going. I'm going to put the images on in just a second, but I'd just like to say it's been a good day all round, quite happy with the results. It's been a bit of a struggle for the broader landscape scene, as you can see, lots of leaf litter showing through the snow and twigs that's not been easy to control, but overall I feel like I've had a good day and quite happy with the images that I got. Also found some new ones to come back to, which is always good. Looking forward to those. So like I say, images coming on in just a second. Leave some comments below, let me know what you think of those, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications and also hit that like button. That's always good for the channel. So until next time, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.